Hey, what's up and welcome to Q&A, the show where I take your questions from YouTube, Twitter, and everywhere in between and answer them here in video format. A ton to get into as the Browns get ready to take on the Pittsburgh Steelers this weekend. It's obviously a big rivalry game, but a bigger question when it comes to who's going to be healthy, what players are going to be available, and everything else in between. So a ton of questions this week. So let's kind of jump into them, and I'm going to start with a question from my guy, Zev Chazen, who says, would you prefer Case Keenum or Baker Mayfield in this matchup and why? I would prefer Baker Mayfield 100% of the time because I just think Baker Mayfield is a much, much, much better and more capable quarterback than Case Keenum. That being said, if Baker can't throw the ball, okay, yeah, you might have to put Case Keenum in there, but it looks like Baker can throw, so if he can go, he can go. You have the offensive line back. I feel real comfortable about that situation there. Look, these are division games. The Browns don't have the best record in the world. Their back's up against the wall. This isn't the time to get cute with managing for injury or managing players. Like, you need your best players to play now, because you got to win these division games. You got to win a lot of these games coming up on your schedule, and you can't really mess around. And I'm not messing around. I'm going to put the best player out there, and if the best player at quarterback is Baker Mayfield by far, so I'm going to put him out there. Next question comes from that one guy who says, we are struggling. Why are we struggling with the deep ball? How do we improve that? How will we know if it's been improved or addressed during the mini bye? Well, one, you would assume, right? Like, if anybody's doing their job, they gotta think about something, right? You know what I mean? Like, you can't just go there, know all the deep balls that have been a problem for this team and not do anything about it. So I'm just gonna assume that people are doing their jobs because, for the most part, this Browns coaching staff has done their job. Like, I know people want to be critical on Joe Woods, but Joe Woods is not somebody who's going to be negligent or anything like that. He does not have that kind of reputation. So, no. Also, another reason why I feel confident that they have figured some things out, not all of the things, but some things out is, well, they had some good things happen against the Broncos, right? They changed up some personnel, some alignment stuff. You saw a lot more of Ronnie Harrison in the box, John Johnson at strong with Grant Delpit at free. Felt like those kind of worked. So we'll see. They made some adjustments on Thursday, and I would assume that in the 10 days in between that they have noticed all these issues that they have had during the regular season, that they have chosen to do something about it. So thank you for the question. Next one comes from Crueler, who says, do you think Ja'Marr Chase is having the best stretch of games he'll ever have? Like when Spieth tied Tiger's Master at the record at the start of his career. This is interesting, right? Because this is not just a hot start. This is one of the hottest starts of all time for a wide receiver. Not just a rookie wide receiver, like a wide receiver in a season. Like, this is a insanely hot start. The law of averages will tell you that even somebody as talented as Ja'Marr Chase, like this is going to, the average is going to have to come down. Like, the regression to mean has to start. That being said, I don't know what the regression to mean is for him because he hasn't played a full NFL season yet, so it's hard to judge those things. What I will say is that if Ja'Marr Chase plays like this for the rest of his career, he would have been the best wide receiver of all time. Now, whether you think Ja'Marr Chase is good or not is not the question. The question is, do you think Ja'Marr Chase is the best receiver of all time? If the answer to that question is no, then you can't think that it's reasonable for him to carry on this pace. But while it's still going, and there's no evidence to the contrary that it's going to stop, so I don't really know how to judge it. I will just kind of go off of just conventional knowledge here and just assume that, this has to have a limit at some point to the production he's having. But the guy has 700 yards, and the season ain't even halfway over yet. You got to give respect and credit to that, but also you have to acknowledge that. I mean, it's like Myles Garrett's sacks, right? Like, eventually Myles Garrett's sacks are going to hit a plateau just because he's probably not going to have whatever. He's like on pace for like 25 sacks. He's probably not going to have 25 sacks, even though it's possible for him to do it. The same thing is with Ja'Marr Chase, right? Like, this can't keep happening, but until it stops, you can't really say it's going to stop. It's one of those weird areas that you have to get into. Next question comes from Jackson, who says, who would I give the MVP to for the Browns this season so far? Best player on the team, Myles Garrett. 9.5 sacks, almost 44 pressures. Leads the NFL in both categories. Can't give it to anybody else other than Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett has been the best defensive player in football, and nobody's talking about it. And when I mean nobody, I'm not talking about the national media. I'm talking about Browns fans. It is invisible to Browns fans that he is like the best defensive player in football right now. And that's like a weird one because we love Myles in this city. I don't know why we're not talking about it more. But Myles Garrett, 9.5 sacks, maybe because the defense as a unit isn't playing super great, but 9.5 sacks, all these pressures. Myles Garrett is an alien right now. Like, he's always been good, but he is alien status. Like, he is inhuman. What he is doing is quite ridiculous from a football standpoint. Myles Garrett deserves all the love, all the credit for everything that he's about to do. So, yeah, that's who I'll give the MVP to, Myles Garrett. Next question comes from friend of the show, somebody we're going to hear from next week, and also somebody you hear from every Tuesday and Friday now on AFC North Talk. And that is my guy, Ace Boogie, a.k.a. New Stripe City, who says, will the Browns defense put Big Ben in a casket? Now, I don't know how to respond to this question, Ace. Are you trying to get me? Are you trying to goat me into saying something that if the Browns do not win this game, could be used against me by Steelers fans? Are you trying to troll me? Or are you just as eager as I am, because we all know nothing unites both sides of Ohio more than a Steeler beat down, and you just hoping for another Ohio team to beat the Steelers down because you already got chosen? I don't know, Ace. But what I will say is that if the Browns walk into Pittsburgh with Case Keenum and beat Pittsburgh, well, not walk into Pittsburgh. If the Browns play the Steelers with Case Keenum and beat Pittsburgh with Case Keenum, well, that is a role reversal, and that means the Pittsburgh Steelers are what the Browns used to be. We'll see what happens on Sunday. We'll see what quarterback plays. But, yeah, Browns defense does match up well against the Steelers. I mean, that offensive line, it's booty. It's not very good, and the Browns have a very good defensive line. This could be a rough day for Pittsburgh. Is it time to put them in the casket? I don't know. I'm going to wait till the end of the year to proclaim death on the Pittsburgh Steelers or to proclaim life to them. I'm not ready to make that jump yet because it's bitten me in the butt more than enough. All right, the next question comes from Gregory, who says, if TJ plants Baker in the ground and Baker is then out for the year, who takes the blame? Okay, I'm glad somebody asked the question along this, even though I'm going to, just from the philosophy of this question, I'm going to disagree with you, Greg. Look, you can't blame anybody for being injured in a football game. Unless the injury happens because the team was up 40 points or something ridiculous like that and Baker was still in the game, which Kevin Stefanski is definitely not going to do, then I don't get the point of blaming somebody for an injury. In football, injuries happen. That's how Baker got injured. Injuries happen. And if Baker gets injured, it's not anybody's fault. Nobody should get blamed or fired unless it's on a ridiculous circumstance like you're up by 40. But at this point of the year, you need to win games. And if you need to win games, you're going to go to your best player at every position and hope they can play. And if Baker Mayfield feels like he can play, you're going to put him out there because he's the best quarterback on the team. And that's what you need to win. And if he gets hurt in the process of that, that sucks. But he needs to be out there. He needs to be out there, and to be out there is to be at risk of injury in the NFL. It's a risk you're going to have to take because you want to have your best players out there in these division games, and you can't risk, doing the goofy stuff where you put Case in here and put Baker in there. No, you're going to go with Baker, go with Baker. You have a healthy offensive line. If he gets hurt, it sucks. It's what nobody wants, but it's football. The next question comes from Austin Z, who says, what are your thoughts on the right game plan for the Steelers? Do you see Baker being limited to quick throws and handoffs to avoid big hits? If you watch my preview, that's exactly what I think the Browns are going to do. Not because they're limiting Baker, but just because I think that's the right way to attack them. I think especially in the first and second quarter, you want to just tire out that defense, misdirect them to hell, and then also just those short passes all over the place so they can just keep having them kind of exert themselves physically, right? Those short passes take a lot out of a defensive end because they still got a pass rush like it's normal. It's not like they know the ball came out early. So You tire them out that way, and then once they're tired and you feel like your offensive line's going to have no problems holding them, you hold the ball and you attack that secondary, which is quite weak. So that's what I would do if I were the Cleveland Browns, but that's just my thoughts on it. The next question comes from The Ultimate Sports TV, who says, are the OBJ trade talks from the media valid? I don't think they are. Or are they just unnecessary? I just want to know how trading him would make our team better, because it wouldn't, in my opinion. That's the thing, right? Whenever somebody tells me the Browns should trade this player or do that, I have to ask them, like, how is this going to make the team better? Because, one, this team is built for right now, right? This year, next year, the year after that. This team's built for right now. Who are you going to get with the draft pick from Odell Beckham that's going to be better for your team than Odell Beckham? Now, I know some people just think Odell makes the team worse. I don't subscribe to that theory. I think the team's just as good with Odell Beckham than they are, without him. I think he adds a lot to this team, and he can make them better if they use him properly. But that's been an issue with this team. But nonetheless, I don't think the team gets better if you trade Odell for a 5th-round pick or a 6th-round pick. Because let's be honest, he's not going for a 1st anymore. He's not going for a 2nd. He's going for a 5th or a 6th. Are you going to draft somebody in the 5th or 6th round that's going to be better for you and better for this team than Odell? I doubt it, especially since they're not going to play this year because they would be in next year's draft. That's where I'm at with the whole trade Odell thing. There's not really a solution to that makes me think that the team's going to get any better than they would just holding on to Odell and hoping they can figure out things with him. But that's it for this week's Q&A. I want to thank you guys for asking all of these questions. I want to make sure you guys have a great day and have a good night.